Hey everybody, I'm sitting down with Danny from Bray and Oakley today to talk about small business insurance. Danny, if you don't mind, tell everybody what small business insurance is.
Absolutely. Well, small business, just like personal insurance, which would be your home, your auto, or maybe insuring your life, you're providing insurance for your investment or your assets in the case of a loss. So, just like anything else, you're trying to make sure that you're protected if something the inevitable does happen.
Awesome. So who needs small business insurance? How do people gauge when it's time to get insurance for their small business?
That's a good question. Really, you should probably have your insurance in place before you ever start a small business. And in most cases, it will be required because, there's some laws that require for certain licenses and things like that. You actually have to have some liability coverage in force. But, for anything, if you're working with the public or you've got people coming in and out of your place or business, or you're investing your hard-earned money into that, you want to make sure that you're protected if something happens. That way, it could potentially ruin you if not. So it's just like anything else. You want to make sure you've got everything in place before you really get started. When you buy a house, you purchase the insurance before you purchase the house. That way, you're covered. Same thing with small business insurance. Get with an agent, have that conversation, let them know what you're doing, your risk, your exposure, the type of business, and Bray and Oakley, we can put together a very broad policy for you. We can make sure we cover all the bases for that.
Awesome. So what are the main types of small business insurance?
Well, you've got if you own a building, you've got the building coverage. You're going to have the liability. Everybody hears general liability. That's the liability part of the policy, which is separate from the building. You're going to have your business personal property, which is just like on a homeowner's. That's your contents, anything that's on the inside of the business that's not nailed, bolted, or screwed down. You're going to want to provide some coverage for your employees, such as workers' comp coverage and maybe even health insurance.
Sure.
And the big one that I'm leaving off, and I can't believe I even forgot about it because it's my favorite policy in the world, is an umbrella or an excess liability policy. We can't leave that off because it's really important.
Sure. So cost-wise, how much is small business insurance?
It's a good question, and it's probably the number one question I get when someone calls me when they're starting a business or they're shopping for their current operations. And that question is really hard to answer because it really depends on what you're doing. When you think insurance, think risk. A logging company is going to be more premium than a walk-in deli per se, because the risk there is going to be a lot higher for the people on the property. You're going to have a lot larger equipment, so maybe some dangerous equipment. You're going to be working with different tools compared to, maybe a deli where you're making sandwiches or even a barber shop or something like that. So it really depends on the risk. But again, the main thing there is making sure you're getting what you're paying for and making sure the policy responds as it should if something happens. So, price is always a big deal, right? It matters. People, they work, their hard-earned money means something to them, but you also have to have a policy that does what it's supposed to when something happens. So there's value there as well as price. Okay.
Awesome. So are employees covered under small business insurance?
It's a good question as well. And of course, you've got different types of policies. You've got, the dwelling and the personal property and the liability. But the main thing for your employees is going to be, everybody's heard of workers' comp, right? So if you've got an employee that's working and they're injured on the job due to activities that are they're responsible for at work, then that's the kind of insurance that responds when a employee is injured while completing that task.
Awesome. Well, Danny, thanks for taking some time out of your schedule to talk to us about small business insurance.
Hey, you're welcome, Mike. Have a good day.
You too. Thanks.
All right.